Hi fabric addicts, I'm Andrea with My Fabric Addiction. Today we're going to be talking about ribbon rings. Let's get started. Alright, let's get started. This quilt, when I first opened up the pattern, there's a lot of words and a lot of options for this quilt. We are doing the regular ribbon rings that's right on the front. The instructions for that one is on page 4 and 8, and it says rings layout twin on pattern cover. That is the instructions you will follow. You don't have to worry about all this other stuff. It's just a lot of wording. Don't get worried. You don't have to worry about that one. You just look at right there. Then also on page 7 and 8, they have them making the blocks. That is where you'll get your instructions on actually making your block like this. You just make a whole bunch of these for the whole quilt, and then you lay them out to get your finished design. So it's really simple. One thing I want to tell you, when I was prepping for this, when I was pulling these out, you will get these little pieces in here. They do not count against your kit. They're just extras folded in. So these, if you get these, don't think, oh no, I don't have all my pieces. You do. Those are just extras. With this unit right here, we're going to be doing a lot of stitch and flips with these right here, and then this one, this piece, big piece is this one right here. So I like to prep a lot of this and kind of lay it out. So we need 1, 2, 3. When I'm doing this, I will just prep all of them. I will count out what I need for each one, and I will get them all ready. That's what's easiest for me. And I make sure all my pieces are where I want them before I start. So you can do your favorite way of doing your stitch and flips. You can either draw your lines like I'm doing. You can use tape on your machine. I know that's popular. It's a little easier for me to get my orientation on my blocks. Okay. See if that's enough. So on this one, we want them to be going across on either side, just like that. And then on this one, we want them to be going the same direction. And it actually does tell you on your pattern which way it goes. So it's marked out really well. So there's should be no confusion right there. But they are going the same direction. And then this one is opposite. So you can pin just to hold them in place. You can put 2 pins or just 1. And a safety pin in there. So that's not going to get in your way of your sewing. So let's take this to the machine and sew them up. Okay, so we are just going to sew on the line. And with this, I would be doing all of my blocks. So right now I just have the 2 here, but I would have stacked up of all the ones I'm gonna need for this whole block. I have just made those ahead of time. Okay, and I'm gonna chain stitch, which just means I'm not gonna cut them in between. So I'll just bring this from the back and then just sew it and just keep going. Take these and we are going to trim 1/4 inch from the seam and then iron. Just trim them up. Do 1/4 inch from your sewn line. Now we will press those. Roll those back. Those go right there. Now we have our next section. So we want to do our little, I'll take these and like I said before, I will stack all of them up by my sewing machine and then I will just sew them all at one time. So I'll take those to the machine. I would chain piece all my pieces. I would do the same thing. I would pull from behind. I'm just going to finger press. This will make it easier in the end when I do press everything. Do this next piece. Okay, now we'll press that one. We'll roll that back. Now we can see we have those pieces. Now we're gonna sew all these together. Get a hold of it. So we're gonna take these to the machine. I'm gonna sew this piece down here, and then we'll press it, and then we'll sew this piece to this section. Let's go to the machine. So with my sewing, I'm not a perfect sewer. So these does not exactly fit. It's about 1/8 inch off. So what I like to do is I'm gonna ease these in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the seams where they need to be. You can see there's a little bit of a gap right here, but it'll stretch just a tiny bit. So I'm gonna sit this part onto my bottom of my machine where my feed dogs are, so it's gonna feed it through a little bit faster than the top. And then I'll stretch this just a tiny bit and it will ease in very nicely and you won't even be able to tell. So this part is where I'll fix this section to be right where it needs to be at the end. And then I'll just put a little pin in it so that it stays where it needs to go. Okay, so now that fits out pretty nicely. And then I'm gonna finger press. Now, when I'm doing this one, I want to be able to see this intersection right here. So we're gonna go that direction. So it's gonna be this way. So I wanna be able to see this intersection. So I'm gonna make sure that I press it this direction. You can do that with your iron or you can finger press. I'm just finger pressing right now. But you could take it to your iron. So I'm gonna do the same thing. There's a tiny bit. So I'm gonna do a little bit of easing in. I just wanna make sure that when I'm sewing that my needle hits right here at this intersection, right there, so that when I flip it back, I keep my point. If I go too far this direction, you're gonna have a white seam right here. If you go too far, you're gonna not have a point at all. So I just like to press it so I can see that seam. I'm gonna do the same thing. And I'll line up my bottoms so that they are lined up nicely. Just like that. I'm just gonna give it a tiny pull. I'm not pulling it hard. I don't want to distort it. I just want to make it ease in a little bit in this section. Okay, so you can see where I sewn right through this intersection. So when I pull that back, you have a perfect point right there. So let's go and iron that. All right, now we're gonna press our block. Just like that. Okay. And then I've made this one ahead of time. So we have these. So now we are going to sew all three of these together. I'll sew this one to this one and this one to this one. Let's go to the machine. All right, we are going to take our centerpiece, and we're probably gonna have the same issue as far as we're gonna ease it in. So we're just gonna make sure that that's on the bottom. We'll start it out and then put our pin at the bottom. Just like that. Okay, I'll take this section, finger press this one if you'd like, or you could press it right away. Take this section, put it this one. All my little threads I try and keep on the outside. I don't want to just flip it over like this. All those threads will be on the inside. You'll have to trim them all. So I try and keep those on the outside so I don't have to do a lot of trimming on my quilt top after I'm done making them. I'll start that. And then I'll put my pin at the bottom. Okay, now we will press it and we'll lay out our whole block. Okay, I like my backs to be pretty also. Try and make sure that everything is laying the way it's supposed to. Now for each block for the ribbon rings pattern, takes 4 of these units, and then we flip-flop how they are. So let's see if I can actually make it the way it's supposed to. How about that? Just like that. So you want to have your coordinating fabrics going away from each other, just like that. And it makes this extra diamond in the center. It's really cool. So now we'll just sew these 4 blocks together, and that is our nice big ribbon ring block. We'll go to the machine. So let's get these, we want these intersections right here to match up. Sometimes if I have it ironed the other way, then I will just flip it over just so I can see where I need it to be, and then let it go back the way I had it ironed. And then these ones, we'll ease that in. Okay. Now we're gonna stick our pin right here. Stretch it just a tiny bit. Okay, now we'll press. We'll set our seam. And then, so that one I just did that direction. So we're gonna just go to this one this direction, so we can nest them. And we'll nest our seams right here, and right here, and get those in there, and then we'll sew them. I'm gonna pin these. These ones can be fiddly. This side. press it open, and that is our block right there. All right, let's press this instead of seam. Pull it back. Okay, and that is our ribbon rings block. Make all your blocks and then put them all together. We have a scrappy border, thin scrappy border. It makes a good size quilt. It is a twin size, so it's very beautiful, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.